Whenever a popular book gets adapted into a movie, one discussion always comes into play. How faithful is the movie to the book? And does faithfulness to the book even matter? Should we be upset if the movie makes even the slightest change to the book? Is it bad that they change a character's arc or a plot slightly just to convey a point in a slightly more simplified way? Or can the artist reinterpret the source material, implementing their distinct style and tone to make the story their own? Or can the movie be something that just vaguely resembles the book it's based off? I'd say that it really depends on the movie, and consensus-wise, that's what most of us seem to agree. But one such book-to-movie adaptation never reached a clear consensus. Baz Luhrmann's 2013 adaptation of The Great Gatsby, a highly polarizing film that some love for its maximalist style of auteur filmmaking, ambition, and modern reinterpretation of a classic text. And a film many others hate for its removal of the strong political allegories and messaging in the book, its overly artificial look, and weird rampant editing decisions. And you know what? I kind of see both sides. A part of me just loves this movie, but there's a massive part of me that detests this movie. With the release of a very similar film gaining this kind of discourse, Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights, and the release of Baz Luhrmann's epic Elvis Presley in concert film, I thought now would be the perfect time to share with you guys my opinions on The Great Gatsby. Let me explain. Hi all, I'm the Grinning Critic and I love talking about movies with a grin. And today I'm going to be talking about a movie with somewhat of a grin on my face, but also a massive frown on my face, as I view this movie as being a very mixed bag. After watching this film, one element really stood out. If there is one thing that I hate about 2020's filmmaking as a whole, it's that this is an age of pointless corporate blockbuster filmmaking. Art that doesn't feel like art. Art that feels more like content. The studios don't seem to care a lot about the craft that they put into making movies. So much of what comes out feels like it's just a product that is meant to please consumers in the short term, only for them to forget about them 2 weeks later. These movies have just got no life in them. So watching a film like The Great Gatsby, however flawed it may be, I couldn't help but appreciate the film for what it was. Baz Luhrmann, when he adapted the book, very much put his own spin on the novel, telling the story from a passionate, creative perspective. Luhrmann's fingerprints are smeared all over this film. His maximalist dynamic style of filmmaking really brings this story to life. And when it comes to adapting some of the elements from the book to the movie, that really worked. In the book, author F. Scott Fitzgerald characterized the 1920s as a decade of decayed social and moral values, experienced through its overarching cynicism, greed, and empty pursuit of pleasure. He epitomizes this through the decadent parties and wild jazz music that Jay Gatsby throws every Saturday night. And Luhrmann did an amazing job at bringing this aspect of the book to life. He's able to beautifully encapsulate these wild parties through his vibrant visual style, but still make them look hollow and worthless at the same time through depicting them in a negative light. This is aided by a transformative costume and set design which really immerses you into the 1920s. Although in saying this does come with a negative side. In order to achieve this look, many of the scenes in this movie were shot on a green screen, and unfortunately, a lot of the time this really does come through. While I love this whole maximalist approach to filmmaking that Luhrmann took here, I will acknowledge that not all of it really works here. The editing in this film is rampant and jarring, particularly in the party scenes, but unfortunately the bad editing choices stretch beyond this. Many of the conversation sequences in the movie feel unnecessarily drawn out, while also feeling too short at the same time. This movie really suffers from a lot of poor storytelling. Being the stylistically driven filmmaker that Baz Luhrmann is, he was way too focused on making this movie dramatic. So much so that he kind of forgot to spend time developing the characters and story. The Great Gatsby is a very dense examination of the 1920s subculture of America, and while Luhrmann was able to effectively explore the critique of consumerism that the book explored, he largely failed to explore many of the other book's critiques of this era. The book's themes are the unattainability in a 1920s society to meet the American dream, the lack of true love in a morally lacking society, and the dissatisfaction of the upper class, are themes that, while yes, were technically explored in this movie because this movie does follow the same plot of the book, they were largely watered down to their most basic roots. Luhrmann's interpretation and commentary of these themes in the movie feel like if you got a student to write a one-sentence response to each of the key themes in the book to memorize for a test, and taking that level of thematic complexity into a movie just really doesn't carry it. I get that exploring these themes may not make for the most dramatic, hyperactive scenes ever, but taking the time required to explore these themes can make for an interesting commentary on the dangers of this era's relaxed set of values. As a result, the story really falls flat. It just spends way too much time having fun with the party scenes. It's as though the filmmakers just enjoyed throwing glitter in each other's faces and didn't stop to care about the actual story here. And as a result, this movie becomes very boring very quickly. I think in many ways this movie would have worked much better as a play. It's overly dramatic, it doesn't have a whole lot of substance, and the actors play their parts fairly well. And because theatre's theatre doesn't need to spend time developing all these deep, intricate themes. It's just there for the audience to enjoy in the live moment and get some entertainment value out of what they're seeing. All in all, I find The Great Gatsby a really weird movie. There is so much to love in this movie, but there's also so much to hate in this movie. On the whole, I'll give The Great Gatsby a C. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm the Grinning Critic, and don't forget to subscribe to me. It'll make me grin again, that's for sure.